I'm building the most realistic city in Minecraft. Cities don't start with houses, they start with decisions, and every decision in this city begins here, the town hall. I am going to do realistic transit planning. The city will grow around the transport, and you can see how the city actually grows from a grassy plain to something magical. I use only vanilla blocks to build, and I use only create mod and create copycats mod to make the vehicles and the transport system, which is in the Angel Hill district. This is district number 1. I started to make the foundation because every great building's first step is the foundation. Here you can see every width and length because I marked them with black and white rules, so it's easier to count them. Then I started to change the floor pattern, which you can call as the concrete layer, and I made dark outlines so we see the separated sections. Then the construction began with a typical construction site, heavy machinery, and many pallets of building blocks. And well, as you can see, there are some holes and a lot of dirt because, of course, this is a proper construction area. And of course, in this phase, this build is also going to be uploaded as a schematic. So you can actually start from level 0. So now, as you can see, there are some blocks already placed around here. So the stone brick and the sandstone bricks, or the sandstones. So they are going to be the main material of the build itself. So the plan is to have 4 towers on each corner of the build. I will have 2 side builds, and the main build is going to be pretty interesting because there are going to be 2 tunnels, which I don't know if they are going to be tram passages or just regular car passages, but they are going to be pretty interactive. Now, let us raise the walls. Alright, I won't lie, this was such an amazing experience. I mean, the build itself was pretty time consuming because I was playing around with some interesting blocks, and now I'm going to show you some of them. So for example, the railing right here are just some chains and anvils, and this window right here, I think this is something that I just found out that it's pretty good. Like it's a pretty good tactic to put these things next to each other. And I also found out that if you change the hoppers to cauldrons, they will look like some arched little windows. But yeah, of course, from this point it doesn't look like that, but if you watch it from that, you see, that looks so good. I mean, yeah, like some pretty cool little windows. But yeah, this is going to be like a big door or something, and this is how it kind of turned out. I really like these flags. I didn't want to add windows on these towers because, well, as you can see, we have a lot of windows, and I still can't be in a friendly relationship with the birch trapdoors. I think these are probably the ugliest blocks in Minecraft. Don't hate me because of that. I just don't think that it looks good, and I don't see any reason for these white middle section. But other than that, I think everything turned out pretty good. Well, now it looks a bit boring because it is not textured yet. And I also made the side as well. I was lucky enough to get the proportion right, and so I can just build this side building perfectly. I try to use a lot of stairs here. You see the windows are made out of stairs, and these little, like, it looks like a spine or something like that. It's just small details. I try not to overuse it. I think right here it looks so good that both sides are these stairs. And well, in general, I think it turned out pretty well. This is the main entrance. Other than that, I will do the back side of it as well. Oh, I almost forgot to do some small tutorial about this window as well. You might not need this tutorial, but I'm gonna do it anyway because, yeah, I just tried to play around with this window and this is the final result that I think looks the best. Well, not now because it's not decorated or textured just yet, but this is how it's going to look. So I have basically two upside down stairs facing away from each other. Then I made like a circle with the other stairs, and I just added two other stairs right here on the bottom side of this circle. I added these fence gates, I added this one, and right here I just added two other upside down stairs, and from this point I just added these birch trapdoors. And I think this is a pretty good, if you want to build a window in small scale, I think it is a pretty good technique, because in this case you will just have two narrow windows like in a 4 wide pace. Now let's get done with the step. Well, the interior is a bit smaller than I thought it would, but I think it's all right. Like for the purpose, it's going to be just perfect. Because now we have this like road which is going to be either for cars or trams. I will decide it later. And we have a nice looking carpet. But before anything happens, we have to deal with the roof, because now it's a roofless house. So the plan is pretty simple. I am going to have a dome-like part here. So for example, we can actually start it. Yeah, this should be all right. So I'm just going to raise the level of this with another block. Well, of course, since I'm doing it for the first time now, I mean, this dome, it is definitely something that I can rework a bit. All right, now let's try to shape. And so I was asked in one of my live streams how I am usually going about the domes. And they are basically pretty easy and pretty hard at the same time, because they are just like half circles. And well, first of all, you have to know how to make circles to be able to make half circles. But I usually go like this. So you can see that I'm working inwards and upwards. So this was here, and this is one block in and one block up. And that's usually how it's the best way to do. So in this case, I'm just going to do this roundish shape. And you can always leave like this stair-shaped block combination here because, well, I think it looks good. And it always adds like an extra addition to the shape. Well, you can always sculpt it or like go around and check how it's looking. And in case of the remaining roof elements, I am going to do a triangular shape. Well, at least I'm trying to do a triangular shape. I really like this roof pattern because I'm going to be honest, it's pretty effortless and you can just stack it. But I think it looks just perfect. So you can do a roof like this and then you can stack it and you can just go all the way until the end. And the funny bit is that you can add some small windows to it. Like it's something that just popped into my head right now, but you can do a lot of good things with this. I think it's a pretty modular and great way to make roofs. And so, you know, you just make some small windows and stuff and it will look just perfect. So now I am going to finish and I'm going to go all over the building to make the roof and we are going to be great. I hope you didn't go too far because the main roof is done. Oh my gosh, look at that. I think together it is really good. It is really, really good. I mean, I am really glad that I picked this roof design because it looks good. Well, of course, it's still not perfect for me because the textures are not there. But, of course, I left one roof out because I want to show you how I made the roof. Because, of course, yeah, you can see the speed build, but the speed build can only take you so far. So I used this gradient, which is deep slate brick, tough brick, mossy stone bricks, and anthracite. And how I usually do the roof texturing is like this. So I just start off with the darkest block and I just set the foundations of the roof. Okay, this is the main area. And from this point, I like to mix two levels. So for example, I can put some deep slate bricks here as well, just to overhang to the other color, which is going to be the gray tough bricks. So you know it is not that strict. Then I start to place down the tough bricks. Of course, I can do this one level that I have already started. This is the second level. So we will be on the same page and it's not going to be too complicated. That's great. And now I'm going to place the overhanging blocks again, but in this case, I like to follow the previous ones. So I put the deep slate brick here and I like to place the tough brick right on top of that. Right here, I can maybe place one here. So, you know, it will have that effect that it's like surrounded, because the best way to do a gradient is, well, of course, if you want to put a gradient, the best way is this. If you just start to place them down from the darkest to the brightest, and you can achieve it with placing, as I said, so following the pattern. Because if you were to place the deep slate brick here and then right after that the mossy stone brick, you see it does not really match. All right, then I will place the mossy stone brick like that, and I'm going to place the regular stone brick right here, and I'm going to do the overhanging parts for the stone brick and maybe add some more little anthracite. Right, so this is basically how I like to go about my roofs. And right now what I am going to do is just copy paste it to the other side. So now the part that I was waiting for the most, we can finally texture and weather the walls, everything. Oh my gosh, this is something that, like, it really grinds my gears when I see these nude surfaces without any textures. So yeah, I will try my best to do the best textures, and I will use my best knowledge to do it correctly. In case of the texturing and shading, it is always great to pick the right colors. So in this case, I have this sandy color, which might be the brightest color of this whole pattern. So how can you pick the right gradient? Well, of course, you have many options. Right now, what I'm trying to do is trying to pick the lightest block, and I have to decide which is going to be the darkest block. I think I'm gonna add some of these stripped birch wood as well, but in general, it might be good to also include the stripped oak wood. So the options you have is, of course, in Axiom, you have a built-in gradient helper where you can just add the inputs and then you will have a pattern, you see. So in this case, you can always pick the items from here. So for example, like this, it's always great to have these. So I think I'm gonna go with this because, well, of course, I think it's a good one. I would pick this anyway. So it is a good one. But you can also use hue blocks, because hue blocks is also the same thing basically. And in this case, it should be pretty simple, but at the same time, it's going to be really hard because we have a lot of stairs and a lot of slabs. So let's see what we are working with. Of course, in case of a shading or texturing, I like to make it make sense. So every places where I think it's reasonable to have shadow, I put the darkest block. So of course, in corners, next to walls, it's always good to do it like so. So in this case, I can just simply do it like this. I can do this, then a bit brighter here. So you can see that behind this pillar, it's darker. It shouldn't be bright because, yeah, behind the pillar, it's always a bit shadowy and a bit darker. And this one can be brighter. Why? Because on top of the building or on top of this whole structure, it's always brighter. Why? Because the sun is basically lighting this area up. I changed some white textures to the mushroom stem because it just adds a bit of a depth to the whole thing. I also changed this side building because the tram is going to go through here and this is going to be the stop for the town hall. And of course, I changed the main tower. I raised the height of the whole thing. I've added these gargoyle kind of things. I'm not sure how to call them. And I also added this dome-shaped roof because I think it just looks better. That's it. All right, so the sandstone gradient is done. Well, I added some quartzes as well, and like I try to make it as good as I can. Some places it is repetitive, of course. So now the base part is what's left in this case, and I think this is going to be pretty cool. So my gradient is actually laid out here because I've decided it beforehand. So the gradient I always like to go with is sometimes this half mossy cobblestone, then deep slate. And we can go a little bit of cobblestone and anthracite, so it's pretty cool in my opinion. But of course you can use the gradient helper or you can use hue blocks. It will also help you. Oh, just another thing that I forget to mention to you is that I also want to add even brighter highlights. So in this case we can of course add the light gray wool and the light gray concrete powder. This is how they come after each other like this. So you see it's an even more extended gradient. I think it looks good. I want to encourage everyone to use the gradient helper or the hue blocks, but if you are working for quite a while, trust me, you will have these things by default. So everything is done, and I also changed the road texture here because I think it looks so much better, and you know, it matches the outside road. Oh yeah, about this square a little bit later. So I made all the textures even in the small little holes. So the vanilla part of this town hall is officially done. Now let's get into this square. I built this square because I just thought that this is going to look so much better, and you know, if it were to be a spawn area, it would be a really big spawn area, and I wanted to have like a central piece of the whole city in the future, and this is going to be a perfect addition to be the centerpiece. I am also going to put houses around it, so it's not going to be too flat, but other than that, the texture of the road is, well, it's a bit like dirty, muddy, but it's realistic. So this is how I imagine this whole thing, with the mangrove wood, with the rooted mud, gray wool, gray concrete powder, and the cyan terracotta. Oh my dear friends, I think this was probably the hardest part of the whole town hall mission, because I actually have never done an organic before. Well, I have made some statues in the past, but an organic that is detailed like this, I have never done that. But I think it turned out nice, like the whole body posture and everything, it looks really like a statue. And honestly, in my opinion, this is the perfect centerpiece here. And now, of course, enough of the art and let's make some mud. Alright, so since this area is just being built, you cannot really expect a lot of pavements, a lot of stony paths, and perfect base for the infrastructure. Of course, I will have a lot of houses around this area, so it will be a bit crowded. But now we have to go really nomadic, and I am just going to pick a coarse dirt, a rooted dirt, maybe some packed mud, but I'm not too sure about that. Let's see. It's all just an experimental thing, but I think it's gonna look good. I think I'm gonna stick with this one. It doesn't look so bad. Now I'm just going to go all over this square. And now I just want to decrease the amounts so it won't replace all of them. Alright, I think it looks fine. It's dirty enough and it's ugly enough to be good. Touches here and there. And now we're good. Of course, it's temporary, so it's not going to stay. What I'm going to do right now is, well, first of all, because this is a new instance, I'm going to set the configuration for the length of the tracks, because by default it's 64 block, but you can of course change it anytime. Oh, it was actually 32. That's not too much. You can change it to 128. It is inside create, server, configs, and trains. So now we can work with that and just make some train tracks all along. Yeah, it would have been smarter to go from that point. Okay, so we can do the train tracks like this. Yeah, unfortunately, the train track is a bit more perfect. And now we are perfectly aligned. It's a geometric perfection. Now it's just time to put our first trams here, or city trains, call it whatever you want to. Let me get the schematic table and the empty schematic. And of course, I already have it here. So let's just place down the tram. If you're watching this video in the first few days, then I can tell you that I'm going to upload a video about how I made this tram step by step. So you can build along with me and you can learn a lot of cool practices to make amazing vehicles. But after it's uploaded, of course, I will just tag the video right here. So keep an eye on my YouTube and my other videos as well. Alright, so what I have to do is I'm going to place down track station, say create a new train. We can assemble the train. Perfect. And I can replace the tracks. Alright, then let me see if it works. Well, I guess it should. Well, of course, it goes perfectly. The only question is it going to be a perfect fit? Oh my god. Like gloves. That's just perfect. Goes around the city square, and you can, of course, observe that beautiful statue. Oh, just one thing. Let me just see this whole thing with the ortho camera. Oh my, you just love to see it. You just love to see how these things come together. So this is how I made a town hall and a town hall square with an amazing statue and a level 0 tram system in my small world. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you liked it, and I am going to upload this package to my Patreon so you can access each and everything one by one and together, so you can basically play around with them however you want. So if you just need the statue, you can have the schematic for that as well. I hope you are waiting for the next video because we are going to do something with the trams. Until then, take care everyone, and see you in the next one.